Greetings and salutations and welcome to Illegitimate Legends, the show where I talk about unusual item builds, sometimes on unusual champions. Today we are playing a Shen build. We are doing AP Shen. And I'm gonna get this out of the way right now. As good as this is, if I'd come up with this show like a year ago, this build would have been fantastic, because AP Shen back then, my god. Enough of the off-topic reminiscing. AP Shen, what's he got? He has swords. Swords in yo face. You wouldn't think it's a great harass. It's not that much damage. I mean, at level 5, and at level 5 you're not really harassing, but at level 5, it only deals 220 damage, and it only has a 0.5 AP ratio on it. But it is better than it seems, because it's got a really short cooldown. So early game, it's actually fantastic. If you stack up that ability as fast as you can, it's some really consistent early damage, and at the same time can provide you and your team with decent healing. It's always nice. What else does AP Shen have? He has a shield. It's called Feint. It's kinda really good. I don't pick it up to level 4, oddly enough, because at earlier levels the shield isn't very good, and more importantly, without much AP the shield isn't very good. It doesn't provide that much extra defense. However, it is always enough. There are very few situations that you can't get out of through correct use of Feint, because it will just block a ton of damage. Another really important aspect of it is Feint increases it reduces the cooldown of your passive key strike, which is extra damage based on your player's bonus health. It gives you decreased cooldown on that every time you attack while it's currently active. See where I'm having difficulty wording that? Basically, when it's on, if you attack, it takes off 1.5, I think it can get up to 2 seconds off the active cooldown of key strike, which normally has a cooldown of, I believe, 10 seconds, might be 8, but it's considering all the ways you can reduce its cooldown, attacking champions and attacking anything while Feint is active, yeah. You'll never have the full cooldown. Lastly, you have Shadow Dash. Shadow Dash is a ranged taunt. It's not very long duration on the taunt, so yeah, you could say that it's not that great, but the taunt is amazing for slowing down enemies. You take only half damage from them while they're taunted, which is always a nice touch. And it can deal damage. There have been times when I've got a Shadow Dash kill. Really fun. All of Shen's abilities have a 0.5 AP ratio except for his ultimate, which you've probably all seen. He teleports to target allied champion, giving them a massive shield in the process. At level 5, it's 550 shield. At level 5, what am I talking about? At level 3. However, it has a 1.5 AP ratio, which means you get a small amount of AP, you can easily give a targeted ally 1,000 shield, 1,000 extra health. I've doubled the health of a Tryndamere in the middle of combat. He wasn't even that injured to begin with, and suddenly, shield. Suddenly, everyone's kind of dead. Really useful. Also, as soon as you've teleported in, you want to be taunted. Now, as for this build, I find that it's not very different to traditional Shen. The only difference is you want to poke a lot more, because you can. Your sword hurts a lot, so you want to be... Early game, you want to be dashing into range, then throwing your sword, or throwing your sword, then dashing out of range, using your feint to soak up any damage that you might take. Other than that, other than the extra damage, you still essentially want to play like a tank. Now, you will die a lot faster than you normally would as a tank. Because you're not one. But you'll deal a lot more damage, and you'll have... You're essentially two things. You're a burst tank and burst damage. Because you've got two abilities which get surprising amounts of damage and fire off relatively rapidly. Your sword you can throw about every 4.5 seconds. So you've got high burst damage, but you've also got high burst tankiness because you've got a shield and a shield for an ally. More importantly, the shield, it can soak up considerable damage at high levels and high AP levels. High AP numbers. It can soak up considerable amounts of damage for you, but it is only temporary, so you're not a tank all the time. It's interesting. You end up playing like a tank, but dealing considerable burst damage. Not enough to take out a lot of champions on your own, but because you're Shen, you don't do a lot of taking out champions on your own. As for item build, I go boots first, because I like being able to run fast, and being able to run in and throw your sword off, really helpful. Then I get a Ryle's Crystal Scepter, followed by Rabadon's Death Cap. That gets you the AP you need to start doing some phenomenal things. Up until you get AP, the sword is really the only useful ability. They can have a sword in the face, but other than the CC of the taunt, nothing else is super effective. Then, what I get varies a lot. If they got a high physical damage team, I'll get a Zonya's Hourglass. If I want to get more damage output out, I'll get a Lichbane because it syncs so nicely with Keystrike. Keystrike is a really powerful passive. I've toyed with a lot of things. It really comes down to situation. You've got 3 items that you really want to get first. Ryle's Crystal Scepter because health and AP is good, and Rabadon's Death Cap because AP is what it's all about. But everything after that, it's a very player's choice build. Shen can do a lot of things, and with the right items you can shift him and morph him to do things slightly differently, but you always end up playing like a Shen. It's a fun build, I quite enjoy it, it's certainly viable, I've had some very good scores. It does trail off on effectiveness toward the late game, except for your ult. Your ult, however, will stay insanely good. It will piss the shit out of your team. Enemy, not your team. Why do you want to piss off your team? My name is Artima, this has been AP Shen and Illegitimate Legends. Thank you, and good night.